The boys are back in town. We are back here today. We had a special episode last week. If you haven't, make sure you go check that out. But we are back, and a lot going on in sports this week. A lot of my quote unquote minute stuff. Like there's some random things happening across all sports. You got the NFL off season going on right now. MLB starting to ramp up, but we had a lot going on. So we're going to start with mega moments as we normally always do. I feel like there were, compared to the last couple of weeks, I feel like there are more mega moments that have went on this week than in the last couple of weeks. And Lance, you're going to go first.
Well, if you watch this podcast long enough, you know where I'm going. My glorious king he's 40 years old and he's still doing things that no one has ever done in this association. Getting to 40,000 points. I don't know if anyone else will ever get to 40,000.
You'd have to find a real career stat pattern.
Russell Westbrook, maybe.
Russ ain't getting there. I don't know if anybody's getting there. 40,000 is such a crazy number to think about. I'm 21 years old. He's in his 21st year in the NBA. It's ridiculous.
So you really a little baby.
I am La Seed.
Oh,
That's La Mega Moment of the week.
I'll give credit where credit's due. I mean, it's crazy to be doing it, to just do it that long at a high level in any sport is tough. Granted, the NBA has been soft for the last decade, so not as hard physically as it once was. But 40,000 is still 40,000, and 40,000 is crazy. It has cemented him as the second best player of all time. So congrats to LeBron James for being MJ's son forever. No, seriously, 40,000 is crazy. That's insane. I thought they were going to stop the game. I'm surprised they didn't.
Kareem wasn't there.
Have you noticed that in every game where LeBron breaks a record, his team still loses? I've noticed that.
I have not. Did they lose the other night?
Yeah, they lost the Nuggets. Jokic didn't care about that 40,000. He was still whooping that old man's ass.
Did you see what he said before the game?
Mm-mm.
He went up to LeBron and he's like, "You're not getting it tonight. We're keeping you under 8."
8?
8 points because he needed 9 points
Yeah.
to break the record. He was like, "We're holding you to 8." And LeBron just kind of laughed. It was funny. All right, Joe, what's your mega moment this week?
All right, I'm going to stick in basketball, but I'm going to the opposite sex. I'm going to Miss Caitlin Clark in the Iowa Hawkeyes. Caitlin Clark breaking Pete Maravich's NCAA scoring record, and she's on path this season. I have faith in her. They're going into March Madness. Right now, they're 29-4, I believe.
They just beat
26-4 overall, second in the Big Ten. I think they're going to go on a March Madness run. I think we're going to see Iowa and Caitlin Clark in the championship. First overall pick to the Indiana Fever. Caitlin Clark is my mega moment of the week.
Absolutely. She's incredible. Like, I don't think we've seen a player in college basketball, men or women's, that has just came onto the scene and lit it up like she has.
just shooting logo threes and
She's Steph Curry. She's the female version of Steph Curry. And I love the swag that she plays with.
I think if she was in the All-Star thing, she would have beat Steph.
she's averaging.
She might have.
She's averaging 32, 7, and 9.
She's almost averaging a 32-point triple-dub.
32 points to go with 9 assists.
I don't care if you play D3 basketball, JUCO basketball, varsity basketball. 32, 9, and 7 is a ridiculous slash line. It's just absolutely insane.
She's only shooting 46.5% from the field, though, which is 123rd.
She does take some wild shots.
She does take some crazy shots.
She is going to revolutionize women's basketball. She's going to get some people who never cared about women's basketball.
I mean, we're
Like
into.
me.
I was about to say, and no offense to women's basketball, but like, we have never talked about it as much as we have in the last 3 months, and that is really all thanks to her. And then I'll give a little bit of credit to Sabrina Ionescu for doing the
and Angel Reese.
Okay,
And Angel Reese.
Yeah, Angel Reese went viral. That's part of the reason that Caitlin Clark's so viral.
Is she? I don't know.
Because LSU whooped that ass in the Natty last year, which is we got our Natty last year. So I hope Caitlin Clark continues her dominant run, keeps balling out in March, and
Hopefully, they don't have to play South Carolina.
Okay, Angel Reese is playing pretty well this year.
Angel Reese is a certified doggette.
19 and 13. Averaging a double-double. She just runs her mouth a little bit too much for me. Like, I don't know.
Man, she got that swag and you don't like it.
I guess. Sure, I guess. I don't know. She just rubs me the wrong way. It's just kind of become a thing in our house. Like, obviously, we live together. I'm a Georgia fan. He's an LSU fan. He likes to talk about LSU. I like to talk about Georgia. We just kind of go back and forth. So I kind of just pray on their downfall at this point.
He doesn't know how to accept greatness.
He doesn't have
That's not
anything else
true.
to root for, man. You got football. What's he got? Women's basketball.
Me?
I guess that's fair. That's a good point. He doesn't. They don't compete in football like we do. So he has to root for
y'all
other
been good
sports.
for 4 years.
I mean, same amount of natties in the last 3 years as you have in the last 15. So I'm sure it's tough, to watch greatness like we've been putting out on the field year in and year out. Number 1 overall pick 2 years ago, multiple first rounders year in and year out. I guess you got to find something to root for, so you can cling to women's basketball. All right. My mega moment this week is going to be a historic deal in the MLB. A dude that is from my hometown, went to high school just a few miles down the road from me. Mr. Zach Wheeler agreed to a 3-year, $126 million extension with the Phillies. It will make him, as I was reading through this, it's one of the most lucrative extensions in baseball history in terms of average annual value. Close to the value that Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander were signed to by the Mets, as always. $42 million a year. He's earned every penny of it. The dude has just continually gotten better year over year over year since he's been in the league. Originally, people thought he was going to be, I'm not going to say a bust. There's not many busts in the MLB. But people thought he was just kind of going to be very average, very mediocre.
Like a Syndergaard type guy.
Maybe have a good year or two and then kind of, start falling off the wagon. It looked like it was going that way. And then he turned it around and he's been one of the best pitchers in ball for the last 2 seasons now, I believe. Just very fun to watch. It's hard to root for him, unfortunately, because he does play for my arch nemesis, the Philadelphia Phillies. But he is from the hometown. Like I said, he went to East Paulding High School, so just a few miles down the road from me. So he's a hometown kid, and he's been really fun to watch, and I'm just happy for him to get that historic deal because he has earned it. So Zach Wheeler is going to be my mega moment this week. All right. With the good, there's always the bad. There's always the ugly with the pretty, and we got to touch on the ugly, and damn, was there some of it this week. We're going to start with mid-moments now. Lance, we'll come back to you. I'll let you, we'll do this circle again.
All right. My mid-moment is going to be the NFL Combine. My reasoning for this is it doesn't have the same glamour that it used to. In my younger days, I used to I used to be excited for the Combine. The top 10, top 15 picks, they were always going to do all the events at the Combine, and I'm not saying that these guys should be doing it cuz I don't blame them cuz they've already got millions in the bank. They're just waiting on the direct deposit to hit.
Especially the top quarterbacks and stuff.
Yeah.
The top 3 quarterbacks, it makes no sense.
It can only lower their draft stock.
I don't blame them, but it thus makes the Combine worse.
Yeah, as a fan, it's not fun to watch anymore.
No, and I mean, it's just like it's really quiet, it seems kind of dark in Lucas Oil. I think they should just make pro days bigger events. I think they should just get rid of the Combine altogether, and they should just, it's tough because there's so many schools represented at the Combine, so it'd be a whole lot of pro days, but I think if you want to...
Or maybe do conference pro days. So have an SEC pro day where you still invite people to come in, but do away with pro days and do away with the Combine and just do conference pro days. So you still invite players, players still have to be invited. but it's a little bit smaller setting for these guys. And it is their one opportunity to show up and show out. So you don't have this, well, I'm going to do this at the combine, but I'm not going to run my 40 at the combine. I'm going to run my 40 at pro day. Or I'll run my 40 here, but I'm not going to do, medicals or anything. I'm going to wait to do that because there's so much, it feels like there's so much separation now. You're looking for this one guy. You're like, oh, I can't wait. Like for me, like I wanted to see Brock show out. And he did great in drills, but he didn't run his 40. That's what I was waiting on. I wanted to see his 40 because he's going to wait and run his 40 at pro day. It's like, okay, well, you're going to run the same drills at pro day. So why not just do all of it at pro day then? Because I'm now sitting here waiting and watching you all day for no reason because you're not even doing half the shit. So
they just need to bring a little bit of the glamour back to the pre-draft process. So shout out to Xavier Worthy for breaking the combine record.
Yeah,
that was dope to see.
Huge.
But other than that, not really much to look for. So the NFL Combine's going to be my mid-moment.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's just kind of like that with college football in general now. These dudes got NIL. If you're a guy like Caleb Williams, you're already sitting on bank. And you're not, there's almost like zero chance you're not the first pick. And like the odds of you not being the first pick are so low. Why would you compete?
He just doesn't have anything left to prove. Like he hit all his entire skill set and everything is already on film. That's what he was saying in some of his interviews. Like, I've played 30 plus games in college. You don't need to see me run a 40. You don't need to see me
run. Which is fair. Like, I don't disagree with that, but I think you've even gotten to the point where, like, it used to just be maybe the top, like, 3 picks might skip out on a few events because they're like, you've seen all my film. I've been talked about as being 1, 2, and 3 for the last 8, 10, 12 months. You don't need to see me run a 40. The problem is, now that these guys are getting paid in college, they've already got money in the bank. It's kind of inflating their egos. Now we're starting to see, like, the top 10, the top 12 picks, the top... Brock Bowers is not even a lock for a top 10 pick yet. You know, he's looking at sliding to 14, 15, 16. You've even got like the top 15 picks kind of being like, I'll kind of cherry pick what I want to do, but I'm not going to do everything. And it's because you've got money, and when you get money like that, you start to feel maybe like you're a little bit better than you are, or like, you feel a little bit more safer now than you did 10 years ago because you're coming out of college and you're not broke. I feel like the NIL has kind of changed the hunger of the game. You're not as hungry to go out and prove yourself in the combine and try to move up even just a spot or two like these guys used to be. Because that $100,000, $200,000, whatever the difference is between like the 5th and 6th pick, doesn't mean a lot to you because you're already sitting on a couple mil. As you were the guy at your school. Your school paid you. So I definitely agree. All right, Joe, what's your mid-moment this week?
My mid-moment, I'm going back to NBA basketball. I'm going to the Washington Wizards. I know everybody was hating on the Pistons earlier this year, saying some people may be on the Wizards saying at this point, you really just don't want to be that team. And look what you became, Kyle Kuzma.
Team.
You guys are now... You have the same record. You're 9-51. You're blessed because you have a better divisional record. That's the only reason you're not in dead last. But you're on a 14-game losing streak, where the Pistons have won 2 out of the last 10. You're 0-10, and it does not look bright. Kyle Kuzma's their leading scorer, 22 points per game.
Didn't Poole get benched?
He did get benched initially. I don't know if he's still. Let's see. Yeah, he is still on the bench. He's second behind Tyus Jones. Bilal Coulibaly, Denny Avdija, and Marvin Bagley III. So really, Kyle Kuzma.
Bagley starting?
Yeah, center. Really, your only bright spot on that team is, I guess, Kyle Kuzma. And
you've got a negative 10-point differential.
Which is worse than every team the Pistons. But the Hornets, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I kind of like it because if you want to talk that shit and
you can't back
it up, maybe they need to start Landry Shamet. He's their 4th string point guard right now.
I will say, though, I will say this has been a ridiculous stretch for any NBA team in their past 14 games. They beat the Pistons and the Spurs on the 27th and 29th of January. Those were the last 2 wins before this losing streak. The Clippers, the Heat, the Suns, the Cavs, the Celtics, the Sixers, the Mavs, the Pelicans, the Nuggets, the Thunder, the Cavs again, the Warriors, the Lakers, and the Clippers again. Any team in the NBA, that's crazy. You play the Clippers twice, you play the Cavs twice, you play the Celtics on the road, the Mavs, the Nuggets, the Thunder, all on the road. And they only lost to the Clippers. Not the Clippers. They only lost to the Celtics by 4, the Sixers by 6. There are some bad games in here, like they lost to the Thunder by 41. But
They lost to the Lakers in overtime by 3. Kuzma. Jordan Poole dropped 34.
I mean, they are bad. It's a crazy stretch, but at this point, I mean,
They do got some wins around the corner, though. They play Utah's a possibility. Charlotte, they should win.
Memphis.
Yeah.
They've got the Pistons again this year. They'll probably win like maybe 15 games. So we've got
9, 10, 11.
We've got
We got about 22 games left
we got a dog fight
for worst in the East.
to see who's going to be the worst team in the NBA.
So the Wizards are your mid-moment, Joe.
Faux show.
All right. Mine, and I hate to do it. I really do. My mid-moment this week, I got to go to the Golden State Warriors. Just got beat by 50?
50.
52?
52.
To against the Boston Celtics. We're down 44 points at halftime. 82-38. The game could have been over right then. They could have just called it. Everybody could have packed it in and sent it home. It's just kind of become one of those things for me. Like, those games just, to me, scream lack of effort. How are you getting blown out by 44? That, to me, I just don't understand. Like, at some point, do you not even just want to play for, like, some pride? Is there no... That's my problem with the NBA is, like, you would have never seen that. You might have seen it once or twice 10, 15 years ago, but dudes would have still been playing hard because nobody wants to get embarrassed like that. Now, you're getting beat like that at half. Guys are not like, let's chip away at it. Most of the guys now are just like, you know what, let's just, I started the game. NBA can't say nothing about me sitting on the bench for the second half. Let me get a second half load management because we're down 44. It's just like, and I guess I could touch more on like the NBA regular season as well. Like it kind of goes hand in hand, but it's become so watered down that you get, because this isn't the first game we've seen like this season. There have been plenty 30, 40-point blowouts in the NBA this season. And it's just, as a fan, it's so boring to watch. Even if you're a fan of the Celtics, that's not exciting to watch. The Celtics beat somebody by 50. That's not exciting. There's no excitement in that. There's no competition.
Especially when the stars, like looking at the box score, Steph played 17 minutes. Draymond played 14. Clay played 12.
That's what I'm saying. By halftime,
Yeah.
these dudes are load management. They're getting sat on the bench because the NBA can't say anything at that point. They played.
I just think it's a case of they were down by 45 and they don't want to get hurt. And I didn't watch the game, but it just looks like it might have just been one of those days. I mean, the Warriors shot 39% from the field, 17% from 3. Celtics shot 55% from the field.
But I'm just saying,
from 3.
I feel like I've seen a lot more of those games this year than I have in years past.
I think the NBA this year has been also a lot of very good teams and a lot of very poorly managed teams.
Because we're in the era of super teams. Look at every team that's competing. The Thunder.
That's an organic team, though.
It is, but you still got two. You got a bona fide star in SGA, a top 5 MVP candidate. And then you've got Chet. That's a budding star. And Josh Giddey is no slouch. The Timberwolves, that's a big 3. Ant, Cat, Gobert.
Gobert.
The Nuggets. a bona fide duo in Jamal and Jokic, arguably still probably the best player on the planet,
He is.
Nikola Jokic. The Clippers, big
You're
three.
just not going to mention the Michael never seen a shot he didn't like Porter Jr.?
That's not a star. The Clippers, big three. The Pelicans have somehow figured it out this year. But
They got a good duo.
still got to start like a star duo. A lot of people have forgot about BI. Brandon Ingram is still a bona fide stud. And you got Zion. The Kings, Sabonis and De'Aaron. The Suns, big three. Mavericks, bona fide duo. The Warriors still have their three, their big three. That was an organic big three, but it's still a big three. And the Lakers, AD and Bron. If you go to the East, it's even, to me, it's even worse. Celtics, big three.
Other than KP, Jaylen Brown and Tatum were drafted there.
Bucks.
Drew.
They do have Drew, but I mean,
That was a big add to me. That he plays good defense
He's a really good defender.
and he's a good facilitator, which is what they needed on that team. Bucks, big two with two of the NBA's probably top 12 players.
Yeah.
The Cavs is the only one that just, I wouldn't really say they don't have a big two
Darius
duo.
Garland slept on, man.
they've got solid glue guys like Evan Mobley is a good 4, Jared Allen's a good center, Darius Garland is an underrated point guard.
Then you got the Knicks, big two
Yeah.
with Brunson and Randall. And then you got the Sixers, who when
Embiid comes back.
he's playing, you got a big two with good role guys like Tobias Harris. And then the Magic just kind of figured it out this year. But like your top 3 seeds in both conferences have like those big duos or those big trios. When you get down to like the 9 seed, what superstar do the Bulls have?
Hasn't the NBA always been like that though, or been like that for a while now?
I think it has.
It's very top heavy.
It's very top, but it's gotten, I feel like it continues to get worse as the years go on.
I mean, you've always had really bad teams. Like the Sixers used to be really bad, the Bobcats and the Hornets.
The Hornets have always been bad. Like Bobcats, Hornets have always been bad. That's just, but I just feel like you don't have that same separation of anymore where like teams 1 through 6 can truly compete. Like the Kings are not going anywhere this year. The Kings could not make a finals run.
You don't think?
No,
I just think they're.
They could.
they're not.
If they had a little bit more, I think their only big guys.
Sabonis.
Yeah.
If they had like a bigger 4.
Yeah, that was the Warriors' problem last year. I think they have the similar
Sabonis
issues.
is 7 feet though.
Yeah, but I mean, he's just if he goes up against like
He's not very like.
yeah, if he plays anybody,
I
with
just
some
like
girth.
The Pelicans are not making a run. The Pelicans won't go to the finals.
We haven't seen Zion in the playoffs yet.
And he seems to be healthy.
I just think it's become more of a case of like
You don't
guys.
You don't think they can compete. They might.
So you don't think? Okay, that's how you said the top 6.
If you look at the East,
You don't
This-
think the Sixers could compete at number 5?
Take an Embiid back.
I don't think they're
I'll tell you the Magic.
an Eastern.
I even
don't have a
think if they, if they beat a couple teams in the play-in, I think the Pacers could compete.
I think the Heat can compete.
I give the Heat some credit
I think
only because I'm a Jimmy fan. I don't think the Pacers are going anywhere.
I think
It's straight offense, no defense. Like if they play the Celtics, they're giving up. The Celtics are only giving up 110 points a game.
Well, it would be awesome if the Hawks knocked the Celtics out first round.
Yeah, it would be awesome, but I'm gonna keep dreaming because that's never gonna happen.
but
Hey,
like
Trey's gonna come back.
You just don't see like
in the West,
you don't have any teams anymore that can like the Hawks can't compete with one star. You used to have teams where like if you had a superstar who shows up in the playoffs like Trey does every year, you could at least make it past the first round. Sometimes you could compete in the second round because you didn't have all these loaded teams. Now a team with one guy is going nowhere. You have to have at least 2 now. Like it has to have 2.
What did the Heat have? I mean, I guess if Bam, you think Bam's a superstar?
No.
So then the Heat went to the finals with one superstar.
That's like the one exception.
What about the Mavericks with Dirk?
Okay, that's the other exception, I guess.
What about I guess the Raptors had DeMar too, so it's not just one.
Yeah,
but-
DeMar was still in his prime. So DeMar and Kawhi. You've had, like, if you look at the past,
What about the
Bucks,
Cavs with
the
LeBron?
Bucks with Giannis?
Chris Middleton was considered,
He wasn't a star though.
he was considered a top 25 player in the NBA.
Cavs with LeBron.
The Cavs with LeBron.
Kyrie wasn't a superstar.
Kyrie wasn't there
He
for
wasn't there.
all the runs.
Not for the 3-1 run, right?
Yeah, he
Am I
was.
tripping?
Yeah, Kyrie
Yeah,
was a key.
He was there for that 3-1 run.
All those years, 13, 14, when LeBron went back to Cleveland from Miami, Kyrie was there for all of those. Then you added Kevin Love. And you had a good...
Kevin Love was never a superstar though.
He wasn't ever a superstar?
I wouldn't consider
Maybe not
him.
in Cleveland, but when they got him, that was a huge deal, him coming over from Minnesota.
I thought he was good. I would never call him a superstar.
I think he was.
But realistically, like in the West, I think the top 10 teams in the West could compete if they made the playoffs.
I don't think there's any...
You don't think the Suns can compete at the 7 seed? Really?
It's going to be tough.
How? What makes you think the Suns can't compete?
They got to stay healthy. Every year it's been CP3 got hurt.
So if they're healthy, you're saying they can't.
If all three are healthy, they should compete, yes. Because you got a big three.
What about the
That's what I'm
Mavs?
I think they compete even if Beal's hurt. Even if Beal can't play, I think they could compete.
As long as they don't play like the Nuggets first round.
I don't think Nurkic is a terrible matchup against Jokic. Jokic is obviously.
I want to go
better.
back to that real quick. Kevin Love was a superstar, by the way, before coming to the Cavs. He averaged 26, 4.5, and 12.5 in the year before he came to Cleveland. 18, 2.5, and 14 the year before. 26, 2, and 13, and 20, 2.5, and 15 in the 4 years before he came to Cleveland.
Anyways, I think you're just discrediting some of these teams just because they have not a amazing record. Like the Mavericks at 8, I think they can compete.
You think they can make a Western Conference Finals?
I do.
Yeah,
I don't think there's
with
any
Kyrie
chance.
and Luka.
No. Against... You think Kyrie and Luka is a better duo than Jokic and Jamal? You think they can?
Well,
you
that's
think
different because
compete?
Kyrie and Luka are two guards, and you gotta.
But you think that team? You think that team could beat the Nuggets?
Yeah,
You think they're beating? You think they could beat the Clips?
yeah.
Really?
There's
Yeah.
a lot
The
bigger
Clippers
chance
have
of
the Clippers have
getting
not
in.
shown me anything in the past couple years to think that they can.
And the
No.
Mavs have?
There's only one team in
No,
the top.
I'm just saying the Clippers haven't shown me.
There's
that they're
only
gonna-
one team in the top 6 that has had any relevant real playoff experience in recent memory, and it's the Nuggets. At least with the Mavericks, the Warriors. I mean, the Mavericks went to Western Conference Finals. The Lakers and Warriors both won chips.
I don't think the Mavs can compete. I think the Warriors they still got the same problem they had last year. They're too small. They're not going to be able to compete with teams with good bigs like the Nuggets, the Timberwolves, or the Thunder. I don't think they can compete with. I think they can compete with the Thunder because of lack of experience from the Thunder. They're still too small to compete with that team, though. With Chet.
Chet's the only big guy on that team.
Yeah, but the Warriors have no big.
Neither do the Thunder, other than Chet.
What if the Lakers would play the Thunder first round? Would you don't think there's a chance the Lakers could upset that?
Maybe
think
because
AD
of
would-
lack of playoff experience, but I don't think the Lakers are making it. I think if they win that, they're not making it past the second round.
Really?
No. You're gonna ride LeBron, and that's okay, and you can do that. But if you look at that team has shown me nothing this season that says they can make a Western Conference Finals in a loaded West this year.
They didn't last year either,
Nothing about that team
but they still made it.
has been like, yeah, but in my opinion, the West got better.
So did LeBron.
That team's bad. Like that roster is bad.
LeBron's played with worse. He's taken
Yeah,
worse to the
against worse
finals.
competition.
It's a very streaky roster.
Yeah.
The East, when he was playing with the Cavs, had the Celtics. And that was pretty much about it the first time. Second time around, he was playing the Hawks in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Fun fact: there's only 3 teams LeBron is undefeated against in the playoffs. He's 12-0 against one team. Can you name them?
The Hawks.
Yeah, that's right.
Well aware. I don't think it's as wide open as you think it is.
I think the top 8 seeds in the West could realistically make the Western Conference Finals. Maybe not.
I just wouldn't agree with the Kings, but I think every other team.
I don't think the Kings, Pelicans, or Mavs can make the Western Conference Finals. The Pelicans lack experience. And who's the Pelicans starting point guard right now?
CJ McCollum.
CJ McCollum, B.I., Herb Jones, who's a really good defender, Zion, and Valanciunas.
I think that team lacks depth and experience against some of the top seeds in the West. If we look at, how many times I got to go back? Looking at the Mavericks, I just don't have faith in that duo at all. I don't know. They fell apart in crunch time last year, and they had a whole offseason together, and they've still just been kind of they're average. Their point differential is plus 0.7. Like, they have not been great by any means, and I don't think the Kings will compete. I just think that team needs another piece. It needs a 4. It needs another forward. And I think the top 4 seeds in the West are loaded with talent. And then the Suns. The Suns have talent. The Suns have KD. The Suns have Book. If both are healthy, both will show up in the playoffs. So they could make a run. But the Warriors, undersized. Lakers, bad roster. Kings, need another forward. Lack of experience. Pelicans, lack of experience and depth. Mavericks, I have no faith. I don't trust them. I think the East, a few more teams have
Really?
an opportunity.
I think the East is way more top heavy than the West.
That's what I'm thinking.
I think the Celtics have not shown me anything in the past couple of years in the playoffs.
They're
that
so
tell
good
me
this year, though. I think they're
that
gonna
tell me that they won't choke.
with KP this year. I think that team is just on another level.
The Bucks have Doc Rivers, so again, my faith there is a little shaky. I think Cleveland could make a run, especially if they're on a little bit of a slide right now. They're 5-5 in their last 10, but if they get hot again, they can make a run. A healthy Knicks squad can make a run. If the 76ers get a healthy Joel back with Maxey, and the rest of that team is healthy, they can make a run. The Magic are the same as the Kings to me. They need another piece. They're real young. They lack the experience.
I think the Kings are a lot better than the Magic are right now.
But I don't think either team could make a run.
I think if the Kings were in the East, it would be a lot better chance.
Currently, with the playoff picture, like the Kings will play the Nuggets first round, so I don't think they're beating the
That's
Nuggets.
what I'm saying. I think they're kind of built the same way, like two very young teams who have, like, Paolo is the Magic's star, and you've got
The Kings lineup isn't bad. De'Aaron Fox, Kevin Huerter, Harrison Barnes, Keegan Murray, Sabonis.
Keegan Murray seems small. He's a power forward.
He's 6'8".
that's what I'm saying. They need another 4.
He's young. He can develop, and I think he'll be good. The Magic have Paolo, and that's literally it.
What about Markelle?
Yeah, is our backup point guard?
The Magic, I don't think can do anything.
The Heat, I don't think can make a run.
That's what they said last year.
This team is worse.
I have faith in Jimmy. When it comes to playoff time, Jimmy's different. The Pacers, I just think they give up. I don't think they're going to be able to, like, just boat race the Celtics or the Bucks. I don't think they can just straight up boat race the 1 through 4 seeds right now.
I don't think they boat race anybody.
I mean, in the sense of like just outscore. I don't think they can do it.
Anybody.
I don't think they can do it. The Bulls and Hawks are going nowhere. But I do think the East is.
Hey, the Hawks average more points per game than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of the 8 playoff or 6 out of the 10 playoff teams.
They also give up the
most
second most points per game in the East right now. Second only to the Washington Wizards.
Oh yeah.
So built the same.
They got a worse defense than the Pistons.
built the same as the Pacers. Like they can outscore pretty much anybody, but they give up more points than anybody. So I think the East will be a little bit more interesting.
I think Trey's finally gonna get his revenge.
We'll see. I don't even know if he's gonna be ready come playoff time.
Really?
He's hurt right now.
I know, but it was just a fucking finger.
He had to get surgery though. Said at least 4 weeks.
They just dropped back-to-back games to the Nets. I don't even know if they'll be in the
Bad.
play. I don't even know if they'll be in the playoff picture come when by the
Let's see,
time
we got
Trey's back.
we got 22 games left, and we're currently 2 games ahead of the Nets. So
Not looking good.
no, not looking good. That team's just terrible. That
You got to
roster
play the
construction.
Knicks, the Cavs, the Pelicans.
Probably able to beat the Knicks because they're not gonna have Brunson. I don't think.
You got to play
We'll
Boston
see.
2 more times.
I'm not too worried about it. They're gonna have to do something this offseason. We're about to rebuild though, and they're about to
Get rid of Trey.
tear it down on the studs and start over again. I don't think they'll get rid of Trey. They won't sell any tickets if they get rid of Trey.
Do you think Trey's gonna want to stay in?
He hasn't said anything about wanting to leave, and he signed a pretty big extension last year or the year before. He signed a 5-year, $215 million extension in 22.
Okay, yeah. So he's
So he's only in the second year of his contract. And he's gonna he made 40 mil this season. He'll make 43 next season, 46 the season after, and 49 the season after that.
That team ain't getting good anytime soon.
He's not going nowhere. He's only 25 too, so he's still got time. He'll get another. I mean, he'll be pretty much prime in 26 when he's open for another contract.
and I'll trade him to the Lakers for Austin Reeves.
and a second-round pick.
No shot. No shot. The management group that owns the Hawks is stupid. They're not that stupid.
The management group don't make trades.
Nah, but they do have a large say in. Like if they want somebody gone, they're gonna be gone. If they want somebody to stay, they're gonna be held on to. And at this current point in time, ain't nobody buying a Hawks ticket or watching a Hawks game without Trae Young.
No, unless you get another star to replace him.
Yeah, and you're not in today's NBA. You don't trade it, and you don't see many trades star for star. It's very rare. Like in the Dame trade, the Blazers just got a couple picks
They got a top 5 pick.
and a lot of role guys.
They got a top 5 pick in the NBA draft.
Oh wow,
That was a 3-way trade too, wasn't it? With the Celtics.
yeah. So you just don't see a lot of star for star trades. All right, talking about the playoffs. Every year you've got guys who just show up, they show out, and they are one of the main reasons why their team has the success that they do. I want to talk about that. Let's talk our 5 most important players to their respective teams down the stretch and heading into the playoffs. And we'll go 5-1.
So our least valuable player for.
I wouldn't
fifth
say
to one.
least valuable, but it's your top 5, and we'll start at 5.
All right.
Lance is you looking around over there.
Yeah.
I was ready to go in. Like
You-
1 to 5, so I'm trying to. I got my 1. Trying to think of my 5.
I don't know where we put him. I think one of them has to be Luka.
Oh yeah, Luka's on mine too.
Luka's got to be on there. I mean,
Leading the NBA right now in
he's
points per game. I mean, I think Joel is still technically the leader, but
he's the catalyst to that Mavericks team, and that Mavericks team is an 8 seed right now. If they want to make the playoffs, if they want to make a run in the playoffs, it's going to go through Luka, and he's one of the most influential players in the league, just regardless of environment or situation. And yeah, Luka's got to be on there. I want to put
so Luka at 5. Would you put Luka at 5?
I would put him probably like 3. Because if the Mavericks are gonna go anywhere, it has to be on Luka's back. Because Kyrie's not gonna be able to carry that team. I think Kyrie's just a really, really good second fiddle to a star player.
Okay, so we'll put Luka on the side for a minute while we find. I would say my number 5 would probably be. I kind of got 2 that I feel like could be interchangeable in number 5. One of them is Donovan Mitchell. I think if Cleveland has any hopes of going anywhere, they got good role guys, they got good glue guys. But same as the Mavs, if they're going anywhere, it will be on the back of Donovan Mitchell. If he plays well,
I disagree.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I think that team is very well rounded. I don't think it's Donovan Mitchell or bust. Like I think Darius Garland can play very well and lead that team through the one.
You think he could be the leader of the team?
I think he can step up if I think he has the opportunity.
I think
to
Darius
step up.
Garland is the same way he just talked about Kyrie Irving.
I also think Kyrie Irving has the opportunity to step up, but it's
Just
gonna,
like he did in
a
the
game,
finals.
sure.
the Cavs.
But if,
I think
if it came down to him carrying the team for an entire series,
I think the Cavs lineup is better than the Mavericks lineup.
I do too.
Like they
The
have
whole squad as a whole. Like,
they have Evan Mobley at the 4. They have Jared Allen at the 5. Both of those guys play a good part to that team. The Mavs have Luka and Kyrie, and Luka has taken it upon himself to be in the spotlight. Kyrie,
34.5 points per game.
Kyrie's getting a little older. He realizes he's got a guy like Luka. It's like his LeBron. You know, he lets Luka do his thing. He makes some plays when he needs to.
I think you're overlooking how good Donovan Mitchell has been this season.
I'm not saying
He's 4th in points right now. He's averaging 28 points per game. The second closest on his team is Darius Garland, who's averaging
23.
19.
Oh, 19.
Kyrie's averaging 26 points per game this season, 5 assists, 5 boards. So he's automatically better than anybody that the Cavs have at the 2 spot. Josh Green and Max Strus. Josh Green's averaging 9. Max Strus is averaging 12. PJ Washington is averaging like 2 less points than Evan Mobley. And Derek Lively, I definitely give the edge to help me out.
Mavs.
Jared Allen. Definitely give the edge to Jared Allen. But if we're talking 1 and 2,
if I'm gonna
Luka and Kyrie is better than Donovan and DG.
But if you look at the squad as a whole, like what was you said the reason the Warriors lost last year was because of size.
Like there's a reason the Cavs are the 3 in the East and the Mavs are 8 in the West.
If you look at
But Derek Lively's 7'1", so
yeah, but
they're not a small team.
Their leader in rebounds is Luka.
I don't think the Cavs, if Donovan Mitchell shows up and puts up 20 points per game in the playoffs, I don't think the Cavs are going anywhere.
Really?
No.
I disagree. I don't think Donovan Mitchell has to ball for that team to succeed. If I'm going to compare somebody in the East to Luka, I would call it Tyrese Halliburton. They're in the same position.
I think that's ridiculous. Kyrie is putting up 26 points per game. You're acting like Luka has no number 2. You've got a guy with championship experience, a guy who has went and won an NBA Finals, came back 3-1, knows what it takes. Tyrese Halliburton has no help.
Pascal.
Yeah, okay. So then you've got, I still would,
Saying he's got a championship too.
Kyrie's giving you more points right now than Pascal is.
Pascal's a power forward.
Let's see what Pascal's doing. 22, 4.5, and 6.5. So I think Kyrie's still a better 2.
That's a good amount of points for power forward though.
It is, but I still think Kyrie is giving more help to Luka than Pascal is to Tyrese.
I think you looked at the end of the season last year when they traded for Kyrie or when Kyrie went to Dallas, and Kyrie tried to take some of that spotlight away from Luka, and it did not work. They were horrible. They missed the playoffs.
He also, we're talking about
When Luka,
where they have 20 games together, and that was also, I mean, we had just went through 3 or 4 years of just Kyrie constantly being in negative spotlight, negative talk. People were not respecting him. He was trying to really figure out if he's going to be like...
some of the choices that he made caused that.
I'm not saying they didn't, but have we heard any of that negative shit about Kyrie this season?
Not really.
Because he's just doing what? Playing basketball.
Uh-huh.
He's averaging 26 points per game. I think you're looking at Luka and you're trying to like separate him from everybody else. Like he doesn't have any help, but it's completely the opposite. Kyrie is like top 15 in points right now. Like he's got a clear number 2 guy.
So you think if
saying that
you think if Luka got hurt and they missed their first playoff series that the Mavs would be fine?
no, but I don't think the Cavs would win a series if Donovan Mitchell got hurt. You're saying the Cavs could win
Currently,
you're saying the Cavs could win a series
based on the current playoff picture, yeah, they play the Magic.
Okay, who would I guess they're the 8 seed, so they'd have to play like...
I think the Cavs without Donovan Mitchell could beat the Magic. I think they could beat the Heat. I think they could beat the Pacers. They could beat the Bulls or the Hawks.
So they can beat a play-in team.
Yeah, well, that's all they're going to face in the first round. They could beat the Sixers without Joel.
So you're saying a starless team can beat other teams without their star, is basically what you just said. Because the 76ers are nowhere near the same team they are without Joel. The Hawks right now don't have Trey.
I'm only saying that because Joel's hurt right now. We don't know if we're going to get him back.
Okay, but you think the Cavs could beat the 76ers with Joel? With a healthy Joel?
With no Donovan Mitchell?
Yeah.
It would be tough. It would be tough.
I think the Pacers could outscore them. No Donovan Mitchell. I think the Pacers could beat the Cavs, no Donovan Mitchell. And the Cavs have no chance against the Celtics, the Bucks, or the Knicks, no Donovan Mitchell.
Pacers just lost to the Spurs.
It's NBA regular season. We just watched the Warriors get beat by 52.
The Pacers went to the in-season tournament championship. Give
All
me
right,
some
so
respect.
if you're saying Donovan Mitchell's not there, I disagree. I think he's a big reason why that Cavs team is doing what they're doing.
I'm not disagreeing that he is the focal point of that team. I'm just saying his impact is not as large to that team as Lucas is to the Mavs.
We weren't comparing. That wasn't the point. I was saying Donovan Mitchell should be in the top 5 most impactful players to their team's success going down the stretch and into the playoffs. That was what we were talking about.
Okay.
Had nothing to do with Luka versus Donovan Mitchell. I don't know where you got that. I don't know where you insinuated that from, but that wasn't talking about the 5 most impactful players, and I said Donovan Mitchell should be on that list. And you said you disagree. So do you disagree that he is not a top 5 impactful player to his team down the stretch and into the playoffs?
He may be.
Because it had nothing to do with Luka. My other guy that could be at that 5 mark is Joel. If he's healthy. I don't think the Sixers go anywhere without him.
No. You're putting him on the list like for the rest of the regular season?
It's like down the stretch, going into the playoffs, and like throughout the playoffs, who is going to be the most impactful players?
So you're including the playoffs.
Yes.
Okay.
Impactful players to the rest of their team season, however long that goes. if Joel can make it back for the playoffs and the Sixers can just hold on and avoid the play-in, I think Joel is a huge part of what the 76ers could do. Because I don't think they beat any of the top 4 seeds without him.
I think they would have a chance against the Cavs and the Knicks. I don't think they're beating Boston or Milwaukee.
I don't think they have a chance of making any. I mean, winning their first round matchup and getting bounced in the second round again is basically just like missing the playoffs to the 76ers. Like, it's kind of become the same thing, just with how many times they feel like they've had the team and gotten bounced. So I think he's important. I think you got to put Jalen Brunson somewhere on this list.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
With Julius Randle being banged up, it's literally pretty much.
It's been the Brunson show.
They'll have the occasional DiVincenzo or Josh Hart.
OG.
Maybe OG.
OG's been hurt too.
Yeah, but they're going to be back for the playoffs. Him and Randall both. That's a big 3 right there.
I think it's tough because there's a lot of players on here and they could be on this list. If I was going to go my 5 to 1 though, if I'm looking, there's a lot of impactful guys in the West.
You can pick out of a hat pretty much anybody on the Clippers.
You could. I would say mine is Kawhi.
I wouldn't pick anybody on the Clippers just because I feel like
there's too many of them.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes playoff time, every team always has to have that one dude who steps up a little bit more than everybody else. Unless all 4 of them are putting up 20-plus points per game, on any given night, you're going to need one guy to probably step up and give you 30. And I think that guy is Kawhi. With the championship experience that he has, Finals MVP, DPOY, made that shot against the Sixers, Game 7. Like, I think all of that experience plays into the fact that Kawhi is the most important player for the Clippers in the postseason. So I'm going to put Kawhi at 5. I think he's very important. He's got to play good defense. He's got to be the guy to step up and be that guy again and go, I want to be on this team's best player. He's got to be the leader of that team. There are going to be a few nights where I think they're going to need him to step up and give them 30 and be a good facilitator and be a leader on a team that has a bunch of guys who, have been really good their entire career, but really haven't ever been able to make it over the hump. So I'm going to put Kawhi at 5.
I think somewhere on this list we gotta have Zion.
I was just gonna say that. You haven't seen playoff Zion yet.
He's putting up 22, 5, and 5 right now. They're the 5 seed. They're the least talked about playoff team in the entire league.
My list and your list is going to be completely different then. I'll give my list. You can give your list. And if you've got a differing list, you can go with your list. My 5 is going to be Kawhi. I think he's important. I think, like I said, you need all the leadership and those types of things. I just touched on it. That's my 5. At number 4, I'm going to put... It's tough. There's a lot of different places I would like to go with this. At number 4, I'm going to put Jokic. That team didn't really lose anything other than Bruce Brown, who was really just a glue guy. So I don't think he has to be, and they're coming off of a chip. So I don't think the pressure is there as much as the top 3 guys I'm going to have in my list is. But I think Jokic has got to come out and he's got to be Jokic in the playoffs for the Nuggets to go places. I was going to go Jamal Murray, but I just think because he's the star of that team, it's got to be Jokic. Mm-hmm. That's my 4. At number 3, Anthony Edwards. You've got Cat and you've got Gobert, yes. But Gobert's not the same player he once was. And Cat, his problem has always been showing up in the playoffs. Every year. That's what it is. Anthony Edwards is the dude on that team. He is the number 1. He's the star. When he plays well, the team plays well. When he comes out, he's got that fire. He's making shots. He's getting in the paint. He's, making crazy shots, throwing down dunks. That team is electric. That team feeds off his energy. Without Ant, they go nowhere. Without Ant, they go absolutely nowhere in the playoffs this season. Ant's going to be my number 3. And number 2, and some people are probably going to be mad that I'm leaving a particular dude off my list. But at number 2, I'm going to go with a newly acquired first season in this city, Milwaukee Buck Damian Lillard. He has got to be Dame time in the playoffs this year. He's got to be vintage. He's got to do it all. He's got to make shots. He's got to facilitate. He's got to bring the fire. He's got to be clutch. Giannis is going to be Giannis, but the thing they were missing last year was that dude to take some of the pressure off of Giannis and in the big moments be able to make shots because Giannis is not a shooter. He's not a shooter. He can't shoot. He can go out every night and get you 30 in the playoffs. I think he's very well capable of that. But if Dame can't come out and put up 25 plus in the playoffs and have his clutch moments, I don't think the Bucks can make it very far. In an East that this year is more competitive to me than it has been in years past. And they went out and got Dame with the idea that Dame was going to come in and help them go to another championship. He's got to show up. Dame is number 2. In number 1, there's like 3 players that I could go here at number 1. I want to go SGA. Because he's so important to that Thunder team. But that team is already outpacing expectations this year.
And he is in the same boat as the rest of the team, as he also has no experience.
No experience.
The farthest they've gone is the play-in. So he doesn't really have that. I've been here before. I can take care of this. Let me take over. If you guys need to make a couple plays like Chet, play some defense, but I'm going to take
So I don't think that pressure is there yet. I think there's some guys in the league that are reaching, they're starting to get to the end of their careers. They need it more. The other guy that I thought about going to was Jason Tatum, because the noise is there. If there's any year that they're going to do it, it is this year. And if he doesn't do it this year, there's going to be some real questions that are going to be needing to be answered this year. The only reason I'm not going to put him at number 1 is because that supporting cast is so good this year. He's not going to have to go out and drop 33 a night for them to get a win. You've got him. You've got Drew Holiday, who can score, who plays good defense, who can facilitate. You got Jaylen Brown, a supermax guy. He should show up. And you got Kristaps now. So Tatum doesn't have to be a superstar like some of these other guys are going to have to be in the playoffs for them to go far this year. So he's got the pressure, yes, but impactful? No, I'm going to throw him out the window. Some people are probably not going to like this. My number 1 most impactful player to their team come playoff time, and is going to have to be that dude to go down the stretch. And I think there's so much noise, and it's coming. We're getting to the end of it. Kevin Durant.
Okay.
D-Book is still young. This isn't going to be his last opportunity at a championship. The noise really hasn't been on him at all. He had CP3. He was supposed to help him get it done in his young days. Didn't happen. He heard a little bit of it, but he balled out. So the noise wasn't, the blame was not on him. Then you get KD last year. It just doesn't work. I think this year, Kevin Durant will be the most important player to his team's success down the stretch, because that team has the pieces. You've got D-Book. If Beal is healthy, he can be a good facilitator. He can still go out and get you, 15 to 18 points a night. Mm-hmm. Nurkic has been really good for them at center. That was the piece I think that was a big piece they were missing, because Ayton was not it. But KD has got to come out and be vintage KD. KD is going to have to come out in this playoffs and be 2012, 2013 OKC KD, in my opinion, in a West that is very competitive this year. if they want to make a Western Conference Finals, if they want to make an NBA Finals, I'm going to need to see 28, 29 a night out of KD in the playoffs. And I think if he can show up and be that KD that he once was, the Suns can make an NBA Finals. But I think it's going to take a stellar effort from Durant to get there. So that is my top 5.
Okay. Mine isn't too off, and I'm going to make it a little bit quicker because we've already touched on some of it. I also don't have these guys ranked because they're so close together. It's just like kind of like my top 5 most impactful. I'm going to start with Zion. We touched on it just a little bit, but he's got to be the presence on that team. He's the most like known, most like popular player on the team. They got BI, but CJ's getting old. You got BI. You need that presence down there with Valanciunas, with Herb Jones. And, I mean, they're the 5 seed right now. The Pelicans haven't done anything. They went all out and took Zion. He's had some injury problems. He hasn't really lived up to that potential. He's got to live up to that potential, I feel like, this offseason. This is the best chance they've had since he's been drafted. And if it's going to be anybody on that team, it's going to be him.
I just don't think they can. They can probably make it through the first round. I don't think they're beating anybody in the second round. I think just him playing a full season this year is enough to give people hope. He's still young. I think people forget he's still only 25, 24, 25. So he's got time, which is one of the reasons I didn't put him on my list, is because I don't think they can make a run like some of these other teams can. And if we're looking at importance, I think there's some other teams with championship aspirations and championship windows that are rapidly closing. They're gonna have to make it there. I don't think the Pelicans have a championship window right now, anyways. I don't think in any universe they make the finals this year, even if Zion comes out and averages the most in a 7-game series since Michael with like 37 a game. I don't think they can go to the finals. I think the West is too loaded. But okay, next.
I got Tyrese Maxey, because Embiid is not coming back in the regular season. I don't think he might not come back. He might not even come back for the playoffs. I don't know. So if anybody is gonna, that team can make a run. I wouldn't be surprised if they do. If anybody's gonna take the reins and win them a couple playoff series, it's gonna be Maxey. He's shown flashes. He can play really good ball. He's their primary ball handler. He's the one who's putting up the most points a night. If they don't have Embiid, they've got to have someone else, and it's got to be Tyrese. After that, I also have Dame. The Bucks have already won a title without him, but since then, they lost to the Heat last year in the first round. I don't know if I could call it a historic upset, but the Heat were not supposed to win by any means.
I would call it historic. The Heat were the 8th seed.
Yeah.
And Chris Middleton is old, and he's not really contributing much anymore. Brook Lopez is old. They lost Drew, so it's just Giannis. Giannis can't do it all. Now they got Dame, who's putting up numbers, who's still a top point guard in the league. And so if he plays well, they're a title contender, easy. If he plays bad,
might be a first round bounce.
Yeah.
All right.
Again.
After that, I'm going to Kristaps. The past few years, they've had Tatum, they've had Jaylen Brown. They signed Jaylen Brown to a supermax, and Tatum's been a top 10 player in the NBA, and they haven't won. They've made the second round a couple times.
So you're taking the pressure off of Tatum
Uh-huh.
and giving it to an above average NBA player?
Well, I think they got Kristaps this year, and this year, this team is this is the best Celtics team we've seen in the past 3 or 4 years, I think. They have another piece to complement Tatum and Brown. He's a good presence in the post, and he's better than fucking Al Horford.
Yeah. The biggest problem last season in their series against the Heat was they were living and dying by the 3. And in nights where they shot over 50% from 3, they were undefeated. But in nights where they were like shooting 40 or less, the Heat beat them every time.
I just think
he's averaging 20 and 7. You don't need him to do a lot, but he's 7'2".
Which is why I wouldn't consider him one of the most impactful players when we're talking about I mean, there are guys out there that are going to have to score 30 a night to get their team to win. And you're looking at the most loaded team in the NBA right now and picking the third best guy on the team and saying he's going to be the most impactful.
The third best guy at scoring on the team. There's different aspects of the game that he's going to come in clutch for. The biggest problem last year is what they brought him in to fix, which is why he's going to be impactful come playoff series.
And I still think the weight of that team falls on Tatum.
Tatum's still the guy.
Tatum's the face of the league, or not the league, but the face of the Celtics.
But if Tatum doesn't show up, I don't think Kristaps can make a big enough impact to change the outcome of games.
I think he could.
Okay.
And before this, we were like, the Celtics are very good. The Celtics could make a run. Their title contenders before Kristaps. Now they have Kristaps. This team should win the NBA Finals.
They should have won it. I mean, they should have won it. They should have beat the Warriors. They should have been there last year.
2 years ago. Oh, yeah, been there.
They should have been there last year. Okay, that's interesting. I disagree. I don't think. I think when obviously he's going to bring a defensive presence. When you've got a top to most, I'm sure a lot of people have Jason Tatum in their top 5 NBA players right now. And you've got a guy on a supermax in Jaylen Brown. To me, it doesn't make sense. It's almost more of a cop-out for those guys to look at Kristaps and go, he's the most impactful, because I still think for them to win.
I just think he's impactful in the sense of, like, when you have Tatum and Brown, there's a tier 1 of, like, the Celtics, the Nuggets, the Bucks, the top teams in the NBA. When you get Kristaps, there's a tier 1, and it is just the Celtics. He takes them to another level, and I think it's just the Celtics. They're above everybody else.
I just think, again, like, they're the best team in the NBA for, good reason right now. I mean, like, I would say a guy like Jamal Murray is more impactful to me than Kristaps in the NBA playoffs. I think
like I said, I'm not.
Luka would be more impactful in the NBA playoffs, like, to his team. I don't know. That's just me. I don't feel like he's going to be a top 5 most impactful player come playoff time.
We will see.
Because that team's already so good.
You won't like this one either, but if this team, this is not a ranking, by the way, remember this. The last guy on my list is Anthony Davis. I'm not meat writing.
That's definitely a little bit of a bias.
I'm just saying, when he's healthy, he's very good. He plays good basketball when he's on the court. Him and LeBron play very well. He's a good post presence.
So let me ask you something.
They're not playing.
You were arguing with me about Luka.
Well, we'd already touched on Luka, so I was just like, we've already talked a whole lot about Luka.
We talked about him, but he's not in your top 5.
He was.
This is your top 5. You just named 5 players.
We already got super in depth into it.
I didn't say you had to get in depth. I find it interesting. We were arguing about Luka. I didn't know we were arguing about Luka, and you're saying you've got Anthony Davis in your top 5. I find that a little interesting.
Hey, if it weren't for Anthony Davis, there was no chance they were going to the Western Conference Finals last year.
I think if they're.
But I'm just saying, I find that we're just talking about Luka and how you said the Mavericks can't go anywhere without him. And, he's not in your top 5. I just thought I might point that out. A little interesting to me.
I think if the Lakers are going to go on a run, they need Anthony Davis. I think they can go on a run if they have Anthony Davis and LeBron.
What type of run?
I think they can make the Western Conference Finals. I think they could beat a team like the Thunder. The Timberwolves, maybe. I think they could beat a team like... They could beat the Clippers, I think. Nuggets would be interesting.
I think the Nuggets would be the team that if they faced before the Western Conference Finals, that would be their out for sure.
I think there's a couple teams at the top that they could beat. Not saying they will. I'm just saying.
I think they could beat everybody in the top 5 besides the Nuggets. The Clippers is iffy, but
yeah, the Timberwolves, they just have Cat and Gobert. The Lakers have
the Timberwolves only have Cat and Gobert
in the paint. They have Anthony Davis, but like comparing the two front courts,
comparing the big guys,
they have Cat and Gobert. The Lakers have Anthony Davis, who will guard one of them well, but I don't trust Hachimura against.
No, I'm definitely taking
if it's Hachimura,
the front court of the Timberwolves.
Yeah, so I think they could beat the Thunder because I think Anthony Davis could play Chet well. And then, SGA will play well, but I don't think SGA can win them 4 games himself. So I think if they have AD, that they can make a run. Western Conference Finals run.
Interesting. Okay.
All right, well, my top 5, it's going to be quick because we touched on pretty much everybody on the list. And I base my list more on pressure, I would say.
That's kind of where I went a little bit.
So my number 5 is going to be Zion because this is going to be our first time seeing him in the playoffs. They're the 5 seed right now, correct?
5.
The Pelicans?
Yep.
Yes.
So this is not like a play-in team that we're talking about. This is a playoff team. Their first round.
Hopefully. There's still some.
Yeah,
they're only a game.
As of right now, their first round matchup would be the 4 seed, right? Which is
the Clippers.
The Clippers. If you're going to win against the Clippers, Zion has to be the guy to ball out. And if Zion cops out like he did last year, you're going to be one and done. Number 4, I got Mr. Luka Doncic. The Mavericks right now are a play-in team. They're not going anywhere without Luka. Kyrie is going to be the supporting cast at 26 points, but you're going to need every one of those 35 points per game that Luka's averaging in order to hopefully get a win in the play-in and then a first-round series win if that's what you're going for. Number 3, I got Kevin Durant. The dude's been... I've heard a lot of pressure on him this season just because of you can't win a ring without going to a super team. This is still kind of a super team. But this will be his first time winning a finals without the Warriors on a team with Devin Booker, who's still young. This is probably one of his last opportunities to do so at, what is he, 35
35.
now? Yeah. So number 3, Kevin Durant. Number 2, I got Georgia boy, Mr. Anthony Edwards. We've seen what happens to the Timberwolves when Karl Anthony Towns goes out and scores 62 points.
And Anthony Edwards
doesn't do it or doesn't play well. You get crushed. That was the problem before. So Anthony Edwards, you can't have any nights where he's shooting like 2 for 9. Like he had a couple of those games against the Nuggets in that series last game. That's part of the reason they got, I think, gentlemen swept 4-1.
Yeah.
So if you want to have a chance this season, Anthony Edwards is going to have to put up probably close to 30 points per game. My number 1 guy is a guy that's been under the most pressure this season to finally get the job done and hopefully become the face of the league. My number 1 is Jason Tatum. All the talk has been about how he can't get it done in the playoffs. He lost the 8 seed last year, and he's got the best team around him he's ever had. It's his chance to put himself up to like the number 1,
that
top
upper
3
echelon.
guys. It could be, if he wins the finals this year, the top 3 players in the league could easily be Jason Tatum,
Jokic,
and Giannis. And that could be the debate going into next season if he can get it done this year. That's my top 5.
I like that top 5. We had a couple of the same picks in those top 5s. Let us know down below your top 5 this season, or going into the postseason. I think depending on how you look at it, you can have a lot of different guys in those top 5. But I didn't want to venture too far out of teams that I didn't think had an opportunity to really make a deep run. So I tried to keep my list to guys on teams that I think can make a run, should make a run, but also need that guy to make their run. I think that about wraps it up for us today. A lot more NBA coming your way. We're coming up on the NBA playoffs, which hopefully should be good this year. I think we'll have a little bit.
They were really good last year.
I think the first rounds this year will be better than they were last year because last year you had 2 sweeps, I think, in the first round.
Yeah, hopefully we don't get as many sweeps this year. Those are so boring to watch. Nobody wants to watch a 4-game sweep.
Everybody wants another Sixers-Nets matchup.
Yeah, that shit's so boring.
Ban the Nets from the playoffs.
That shit's so... Well, they might get in.
They've been swept like 4 out of the last 5 years.
The Hawks might let them in. But NBA, a lot more NBA coming your way. We're going to start diving into March Madness this upcoming week. So next week, we'll start diving into some more March Madness. We got conference tournaments coming up, and I think this year is going to get wild. I think it's going to be a really fun,
real rowdy,
real rowdy, real nasty March.
Nasty dudes.
Nasty dudes. All right, let us know down below who are your top 5. I really want to know. I want to see, and let us know what you thought of our top 5s. Tell us who got it right. Tell us who got it wrong. All right, that will conclude another episode of From the Stands podcast. As always, this is out on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube on Thursday mornings. Check it out. Follow us on Apple. Follow us on YouTube. Give us the stars. Leave us a review. Drop a comment. Like. Subscribe on YouTube. Check out all our other socials. We will see you next week.
Peace.